Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Higher Summits Live forecast. I'm, of course, Francis Tarasiewicz, and I'm joined today by a couple of new faces, a couple of people that we somehow convinced to intern with us up here on the summit of Mount Washington. Guys, if you want to briefly introduce yourselves to the camera with your name and a little bit about your research.
Yeah, I'm Peter Edwards. I go to school for atmospheric science at UMass Lowell. I'm currently in the master's program. While I'm up here, I'm going to be doing research on upslope snow events and looking at their frequency and see if they changed over time with climate change.
Hi, I'm Frank. Come all the way from Colorado, and I just graduated with a degree in geography and a minor in physics. While I'm up here, I'm going to be focusing on studying climatological events. I'm a joint intern with the AMC, and so I'm going to be compiling some data and putting together a story for that.
Awesome. I've already put you guys on the spot, but I'll do it one more time. So you've been here for a couple of days. It's been pretty extreme. So can you give me maybe your least favorite and most favorite memories just in the last 48 hours?
Yeah, well, staying stuck in the clouds and fog as soon as I got off the road until this evening was was a little bit strange and a new experience for me. I can't say it was a good memory. Probably was the worst part so far. Best memory though was getting to see the clouds clear this afternoon and then getting to see a sunset tonight. Although I did also lose my hat in the wind because the winds were blowing still 80, 90 miles per hour and flew off the deck. But luckily, it was able to get recovered below the deck by one of who actually grabbed it.
It was Carl.
It was Carl. So thanks to Carl, I got my hat back. It was a very important hat to me. So one of good and bad so far.
All's well that ends well, yeah. And you Frank put you on the spot. Sorry.
Oh, let's see. Probably my favorite moment so far is being able to experience, although I wasn't outside, 142 mile per hour wind gust, which I hear is quite rare.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty lucky and pretty privileged to have experienced that. I suppose the biggest downside is probably just the feeling of not being able to go outside all the time. Fear of getting too cold, but just being able to go outside just for a few moments, it's pretty special in itself. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I think I've probably embarrassed you enough, but yeah, looking forward to working with you guys throughout the season.
Yeah.
Welcome to the observatory.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So we'll jump back into the forecast here again. Always nice to have a couple of new faces, and they got off to a pretty great start with the extreme weather we've recently had. We're finally below 100 miles per hour for our minute average winds. We're starting to slowly calm down. Again, winds are around 75 or so. We'll talk a bit more about current conditions at the moment and what's happened over the last 24 hours up here. But first, let's talk a little bit about a couple of interesting things we've noticed on our webcam today and through observations. So yes, you are seeing clear sky. We have indeed broken out the fog after nearly 48 hours. And so looking at these two, you're going to notice a band of clouds that develop and then a band of clouds below that. So what we've got going on here is a stack of lenticular clouds, but below those lenticular clouds, we have what's called rotor cloud. Rotor clouds are even more dangerous to pilots than lenticular clouds. They both indicate turbulence, but they're both indicating slightly different types of turbulence. So lenticular is a more mountain wave turbulence. The rotor clouds indicate air that's actually rotating more or less in place directly in the lee of Mount Washington. So pilots really pay attention to our observations, especially when we include the wording of rotor clouds. Because of course, for flying an airplane, large or even small airplanes, I definitely don't want to get caught in these rotor clouds there. And Frank, you mentioned he was from Colorado. He's probably a lot more used to those taller mountains in the Front Range out there across the western U.S. So, Carl, if you don't mind getting me out of this full screen, we'll dive into the last there. So, weather. We'll start off here. Current conditions: 75 mile per hour winds from the west. Definitely taking a sigh of relief here from yesterday's 100 plus mile per hour winds. As maybe you've seen in our social media, we got up to about 142 miles per hour up here on the summit. So my second highest gust, and very lucky for the interns up here to have that on their first official day. Visibility right now, we're up to about 90 miles, big improvement from about 100 feet for the last couple of days. The temperatures, they're on the way down here. We've got temperatures hovering right around zero on either side of the mountain. Of course, we've got our auto vertical temperature profile and our somewhat new cog railway vertical temperature profile as well, both showing a similar temperature around 0 degrees. We've got some Arctic air that's beginning to settle in. And if you look over the last 24 hours here of wind, peak wind gust yesterday right around 3 o'clock, 142 miles per hour. I wish I could have beaten my previous record, but we'll wait for hopefully a little bit later in the week there, we'll get another chance. And in terms of snowfall, we've received about an inch or about 2 inches of snow over the last 24 hours. about 9 inches or so over the last several days, but we wouldn't know it, of course. Snowpack up here on the summit, it's only around 3 inches. That's because some of that snow actually has been blown off into the eastern snowfields due to those really strong westerly winds. Taking a step away from the summit now and going up in the atmosphere, looking at our water vapor satellite loop here. We've got a lot going on. We've got tons of energy across the Intermountain West. That's going to dive south, and we're going to have a cyclone form across northern Texas tonight. That's going to track across the mid part of the United States and bring all sorts of hazardous weather, mainly winter weather hazards across areas of Kansas, Missouri, all the way through the D.C. area. Lots of ice and snow, and of course, refer to your local National Weather Service office for those related hazards. But closer to home here on the summit of Mount Washington, you'll notice this area of swirl here. This is an upper level low that's been plaguing us for the last couple of days. It started off on Wednesday and dropped some snowfall up here, but has since been blocked underneath a very strong blocking ridge of high pressure over Greenland, known as a negative North Atlantic oscillation. So we on the East Coast love that negative NAO because it means generally colder conditions and a better chance for snowfall, mainly during the winter time. It also means, again, annoying, persistent low pressure systems. And it was really the gradient between that low pressure system and building high pressure across the center of the U.S. that brought us those strong winds, 142 miles an hour again. Kind of can't believe that I'm saying that right now. Let's zoom in a little bit here. We'll take a look at the decreasing cloud cover over the day. We can see those mountain waves form directly over the White Mountains, a few on the Green Mountains. We've switched over to the nighttime infrared satellite view. See some clouds streaming off the Great Lakes. There are plenty of moisture, mostly open Great Lakes, and definitely some frigid air moving over those Great Lakes, resulting in lake effect snow, and quite a bit of it as well. Some reports of 3 feet plus in central New York State, so pretty impressive stuff. Mainly staying to the southwest, and you can see some clouds starting to approach from the north, and that's because we've got a reinforcing area of disturbed weather moving in overnight. We'll talk a little bit more about that going forward. So we talked a lot about the current conditions. Let's talk now about the forecast going forward, and I'll step over to the side here so we can see everything. This, of course, is the North American Mesoscale model, and we're looking at forecast precipitation type. And you can see right away some active weather across the Great Lakes. A disturbance that's going to be moving offshore and strengthening as it does so. Will give some nice snowfall to the portions of the Mid-Atlantic, areas that have been snow-starved over the last couple of seasons. Looking for closer to home here, we've got some much colder air that will be pushing south associated with the disturbance. It's going to be rotating around a much larger upper level low. This may bring back some fog and chances for snow showers. So the clearing, we think, right now will be pretty short-lived. Going into Saturday morning, we could see some more widespread snow showers, mainly upslope and elevation-dependent snow showers moving along Saturday. We see some more of that gradually starting to taper down later Saturday, Sunday, and see lake effect bands continuing through most of the forecast period, possibly adding some more upslope flow as winds shift around more to the northwest going into the day Sunday. So a pretty unsettled weekend across the higher terrain of New England. You've got some moisture hanging around and plenty of wind and good flow allowing for upslope precipitation. Speaking of winds, let's take a look here. This is a couple of hours ago. We'll zoom in to the overnight, so we'll see a gradual decreasing trend in winds. Again, we'll take a break from those 100-plus mile per hour gusts. We definitely needed up here on the summit. Again, we had over a day of those. We'll see winds gradually decreasing as the pressure gradient weakens somewhat overnight. They're strengthening further south, and this is because we've got some low pressure that will be deepening offshore, really especially Saturday. A lot of that is going to be mainly to the south and west of the summits here. We'll still see some elevated winds. It won't be calm by any stretch up here, but a little bit calmer than it has been over the last day or so. Continuing the clock forward here, we'll see this axis of strong winds start to build north. As that low pressure starts to actually retrograde back towards Canada, way to our north, and increase the pressure gradients. This is Saturday evening. And then again, we'll see a chance for century-level gusts being reintroduced starting Sunday, especially Sunday afternoon as those winds really start to ramp up, and that corridor of strongest winds pushes north over the summits. And of course, the big story as well, in addition to those winds, we've got some very cold temperatures. So as a result, we've got a wind chill warning in effect, and that goes into effect when we expect wind chill values to be at 50 degrees below zero or colder. And so again, no shortage of cold air, Arctic air. We've got another reinforcing blast dropping south tonight. We're expecting lows to drop well below zero up here on the summit. And moving into the day Saturday, you can see some of these negative teens at 5,000 feet, so even a little bit colder up here on the summit. That's teens Celsius, it's a little bit warmer Fahrenheit. Moving into Saturday, we won't see a whole lot of improvement throughout the day. We've just got reinforcing cold air advection just throughout the day. And then tomorrow night will be even colder than tonight. We're expecting lows to drop into the mid-teens below zero. And again, with those strong winds, We'll talk about it a little bit more in detail as we get to the daily forecast. 50 to 60 degrees below zero for wind chills. So very cold temperatures coming in, very dangerous conditions up here on the higher summits if you're not prepared for wintertime hiking. And again, Sunday we'll see a little bit of improvement, but not too much. Temperatures climbing back into the negative single digits below zero. So we'll wrap it up here for you here. So I just repeated myself there. We'll start here Friday night. So we'll be in and out of the clouds. This evening, we'll trend back into the clouds. The disturbance begins to sag further south. Also have a slight chance of snow showers to the overnight. Lows will be pretty cold, 10 below. Winds shifting from the west, more northwesterly, 60 to 80 miles per hour. Gusts up to 95 early this evening. Decreasing somewhat, but again, not much, 50 to 70, gusts up to around 80 or so. Wind chill values will continue to plummet between 45 and 55 below. For Saturday, more of the same will be in the clouds. Slight chance of snow showers, rotating around that broad upper level low. Additional snow accumulations of trace to 1 inch or so. High temps, yeah, pretty cold, 5 below or so. Winds will be pretty busy too, 50 to 70 from the west. Gusts up to 80, but then increasing to 60 to 80, gusts up to 95 miles per hour on the second half of the day. Remember that corridor of strong winds will be moving back towards the summit. Wind chill value is still pretty cold, 35 to 45 below. Saturday night, again, kind of repeating myself here, we'll be in the clouds. Slight chance of snow showers. This is what happens when we get into those blocked patterns. Possible snow accumulations of trace to 1 inch. Low temperatures around 15 below or so, and winds will be from the west, shifting northwest, 60 to 80 miles per hour. Gusts up to 100 miles per hour, and that means wind chills fall to between 55 and 65 below. One of the colder wind chills I've forecasted in recent memory. And then we'll go all the way to Sunday now, and more of the same here in the clouds. Chance of snow showers, accumulations around a trace to 1 inch or so. 5 below for a high temperature, and winds will be on the increase as well. Northwest, 50 to 70, gusts up to 90 miles per hour. Increasing throughout the day, 60 to 80, gusts up to 100 miles per hour. So you got to bring you back to the century level wind gusts. And wind chill values will fall to between 45 and 55 below. And of course, you can find the latest forecast anytime, mountwashington.org/forecast. And so I have a final announcement to make. I actually don't know if I'm ready to make this announcement yet, but this is actually my final Facebook Live update for you folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've covered everything from heat waves, mountain waves, cold temperatures, record rain. It's been the honor of a lifetime to forecast for the summit of Mount Washington. But don't worry, these Facebook Lives are not going away anytime soon. I actually want to introduce my coworker here, Amy. The person will be sort of replacing me. And Amy, if you want to tell the crowd just a little bit about yourself, like where you went to school and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Francis. So hi, everybody. My name is Amy. I'll be taking over here for Francis in the coming weeks. But like I said, my name's Amy. I went to school to study environmental science at Colorado College and came back out to the East Coast upon graduating. Was a summit intern for a while, did a bit of research on our ongoing Rain on Snow project, spent a while being an educator for the Mount Washington Observatory, and now I am back up on the summit, forecasting for the higher summits.
Yeah, she's been playing the long game, waiting for the role of observer to open up. But I know we were talking a little bit earlier, Amy, you said that the interdisciplinary nature of Mount Washington is really what brought you up here. You know, being able to focus on environmental science, meteorology, all sorts of things. So that's really cool, and super happy to have you here. Of course, sad to be going, but yeah, as I said, I'll be going to the National Weather Service starting late January. I'll be at the Boston Norton office. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congrats, Francis. We love having you here, but we're sad to see you go.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but yeah, thank you all again for just tuning in and allowing me the opportunity to explain the higher summits forecast to such a wonderful backcountry community. I'm going to miss you all, and definitely Mount Washington has made an impact on my life. But yeah, with that, thank you everyone, and as always, I hope you have a happy, safe, and healthy weekend. Thanks.